Hey, it's Em, and we need to talk about Thursday Murder Club on Netflix. When this movie was announced, I was super excited. I was excited about most of the casting. I wasn't sure about Pierce Brosnan as Ron, and I'm still not 100% behind it. I love Pierce Brosnan, but I feel like he's a little too articulate and well-spoken for Ron. But still, I enjoyed it, but as an adaptation of the book, it fell short for me. My husband and one of the kids watched it with me. Neither of them had read the book or any of the books, so it was interesting because they were like, well, this was fine. And I think that's part of the problem. I think that they took something really complex and rich and kind of made it very generic. They tried to simplify a lot of things. They took out a lot of things. I mean, it's not even like it's that thick a book, but there is a lot going on in this book, so I do understand that to keep it to a 2-hour movie, that's why I was thinking / hoping this was going to be more like a series, maybe in parts as opposed to crammed into 2 hours, but let's talk about it. So, the 4 main characters, Joyce, Ron, Ibrahim, and Elizabeth, are all there. We have Elizabeth's husband, Stephen, played by Jonathan Pryce, which was a lovely surprise. I hadn't actually looked at any other casting before watching this, so I was like, oh my god, David Tennant's here as, one of the villains, and we've got Jonathan Pryce as Stephen, and that was good. Those things were good, but because they tried to simplify so much, because they took out big chunks of the plot and also changed really key core parts of the story, because of that, a lot of the side characters felt sidelined. They felt like we weren't getting as much of them. Bogdan, who is a fantastic character in the books, definitely gets the short end here. Spoilers, if you haven't watched the show yet and plan to, or if you haven't read the book and plan to, okay, so spoiler here. So in the movie, they go ahead and arrest Bogdan for one of the murders. There are multiple murders here, but for one of the murders, Bogdan is arrested. In the book, if you've read the book or the series, Bogdan is a key character, and he's in all the books, and he literally gets away with murder in the first book. I was like, why would you do that to Bogdan? Another thing that kind of I wasn't loving was how schlubby they made Chris. He is, yes, admittedly a bit schlubby in the books. He mentions that he eats a lot of junk food and he's trying to do better and, this kind of thing. But this version of Chris was a little too bumbling for my taste. This Donna was a little too eager to please as opposed to the kind of sharp tack that we get in the books. Yeah, the way they streamlined the story, the way they just took big chunks of it out and also just changed things up so that we've now got Bobby Tanner living as this other guy, and he's just gonna remain a crime boss, I guess, but Bogdan is going to be I say going to be like there's going to be sequels. I have no idea. I didn't look to see if they were planning to make all of them. We do get some things that are the same as, Tony Curran is murdered. Ian dies abruptly, and then they realize it was not the heart attack that they assumed. They find the extra body in the grave, but we don't get a lot of the stuff with the priest and the history and, a lot of the richness again, a lot of these side characters, Bernard and things like that, we just don't get at all. We get glimpses maybe, but they're not invested in at all. Overall, on its own merits, I sat and watched it. I didn't look at my phone very much. I sat and literally watched it, which for me is a thing. So, I watched it on its own merits. It is fine. I don't think it's anything super special aside from a really good cast. I don't feel like they brought these characters quite to life in the way that I was hoping. Yeah, at the end of it, it felt a bit generic as opposed to as fulsome as the book is. The text is very rich, and this interpretation of it has pared it down quite a bit. Probably to something that I guess is meant to be more palatable for an average viewer. Again, when we're talking about Netflix, which assumes that you're going to be also on your phone or in your kitchen doing something, or that you're not going to want to sit and give it your full attention. I think, Netflix and a lot of streaming services, when they're making content for streaming, they're already just factoring in that you are not going to be paying that much of attention. So they don't want it to be complicated. They're like, it can't be complicated, right? It's wallpaper. It's animated wallpaper of a sort. I will say, I think Apple TV, though, with Severance and stuff like that, is doing a better job, because they're like, no, we're going to make this, it's going to be complex. You're going to need to pay attention. And it pays off. The paying attention to it pays off. And what I wanted, I guess, from the Thursday Murder Club was something that demands your attention and pays off. And that's not what this is. Sadly. It's fine. But it is a little bit bland. And I think they did some of these characters wrong. Some of the characters who are not the main characters, but are important in later books, who become part of this family of characters. I feel like, like I said, Chris, they kind of made him a bumbler. Donna, they didn't give her that edge that she has. And Bogdan, like, what? What are you doing? We love Bogdan. Why would you do this to him? So, yeah. I don't know. If you've watched it, let me know your feelings. If you've read the book, if you've done both, let me know how you felt when you walked away from it. Because, I was so excited. And I think, again, it goes back to sometimes the expectations are just too high. I know Netflix has money, so, clearly they have money to hire a cast like this. And Chris Columbus, who is a fine director. He directed my favorite movie of all time, right? Young Sherlock Holmes. Still my favorite movie of all time. So I guess I have a soft spot for Chris Columbus, but I should know by now that if you're getting a Chris Columbus movie, it is going to be slightly generic because he does not do the level of depth that I think I was hoping for from this. But anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments. And, it could just be me. This is all subjective. I guess they'll do more if they get enough views, I assume. And I think the next book in the series is supposed to be out soon too. So I say soon. Was it coming out this year? Like this fall? I don't know. I'll need to look that up too. If you know, tell me that in the comments as well. But yeah, it was fine, but not everything that I kind of wanted it to be, sadly. And I'll make a different video talking about other things I've watched recently, like, Fantastic Four. And what else have I seen? I feel like I've seen other things. Oh, Naked Gun. I did go see that. We're going to go see The Roses this weekend. So I will have more to talk about viewing wise soon. But until next time, take care.